Welcome to the Get Tailored podcast. Join us as we explore insightful conversations on professional organizing, tackling both internal and external chaos, and discovering the transformative power of clarity and purpose in every aspect of life. If you're loving what you hear, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share our channel. Hey there, welcome to Get Tailored podcast. I'm your host, Nicole Taylor. Thanks for joining us today. I'm really excited. This is our third podcast going into this, and I'm here with Emily
Guderian.
It's
not easy. No.
She is also a professional organizer. She owns Built to be Visible, and she comes with a little esoteric twist. And I kind of want to go into this and kind of we'll get into hopefully the deep end of what that means. But I really want to talk to her a little bit about her practice. And Emily, thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh my goodness, Nicole, thank you for inviting me. This is so fun. I like spending time with you. Anytime to spend time with you, you bet.
Absolutely. I feel like our conversations just kind of roll and go with it. And I'm just super excited to have you here. So tell me, we have a lot in common. First of all, I want to kind of showcase kind of how we met. We met through a mutual friend, Christy Crabtree. She is the connector of all connectors. Like, she's amazing, freaking awesome. Yeah,
and very much in the spiritual space as well.
Yeah,
so that's pretty cool.
So we all have that in common, and wanted to kind of express, our gratitude to Christy. I'm just so grateful that she was able to connect us. But from your perspective, tell us how you met Christy, and we just randomly connected through her.
So Christy is actually in the world of a friend of mine, and it was a birthday party of all things. And I went to this birthday party, and it was just this group of really powerful women who were about something, all in their respective fields and industries. But it was like a power birthday party, and we got to talking, and Christy was like, I think I have somebody you want to meet. Yeah. And telling me that this was another organizer. And for such a long time, I felt like I'm the only, energetic organizer out there. So for me, it was just validation. Like, wait, there's somebody else. And from that moment on, I was convinced, like, whatever it takes, I have to meet this person.
Yeah.
And that was you.
Yeah, so excited. I just remember the first time we met at a coffee shop. I felt like I was running late because I was waiting in line for my coffee. And I run upstairs, and it was just like that heart connection that's really hard to really explain.
Yeah.
And we just hit the ground running the minute I sat down. And I really loved your story. Could you explain a little bit to us about kind of how you got started in this work, and kind of and let's go into a little bit of the healing side and your certifications, and kind of how you got into all this.
Right. Well, so we're not going to put that 9-year-old Emily was organizing her room. That's not on my resume. So I guess that's the organizing.
Go back to when you were born. I don't, know.
So I like to do that. That was kind of my thing. Actually, this is the business that I never planned on having. Yeah. I was a travel agent in my first life, and I used that career to put my husband through school. And when the children came, I was able to stay at home. And so I've been a full-time mom and homemaker. I did that for almost 25 years. Oh my God. And then I raised those kids, three daughters. I raised them. And those pills, they left all at once. And, in your brain, you're like, yes, launch, way to go, guys. I'm so proud of them. And they are remarkable humans. But it landed a little differently on the heart. And this was about 2019, 2020, COVID, the world got weird. And then in my searching, and I'm a spiritual person, I'm a religious person, and in my prayers, what's next? Because that chapter of my life had obviously closed. In 2021, I got a pretty distinct answer. And in my ears, I heard the instruction: you're going to open an organizing business first and an emotional release business second. And at the time that I heard that, number one, I thought that they were two separate businesses. And number two, I was like, well, Thank you. Thank you. Is there a plan B? Is there anything else? Because opening a business scared me to death. Yeah. I ran from it for about 6 months. Finally, after getting sick, like the whole running from the next chapter made me physically sick. And after about 6 months of doing that, on my birthday, the end of March 2022, I put the paperwork in, and Built to be Visible was official.
Wow. Isn't it amazing what happens when you surrender, when you kind of let go of resistance and just kind of allow the universe to kind of take whatever it needs, you know, and once we open our hearts up to that, like you said earlier, like softened your heart to all this. Yeah. I feel like we all go through certain parts of our journey that, you know, really shines light on all that. And so I think that's beautiful. Wow. So tell me where you are now, like from when, 5 years ago you started?
3.
Okay. 3 years ago. And now you're 3 years into this. I mean, tell me about your practice. I'm really eager to hear this.
Nothing what I expected, which is kind of awesome. The whole 2 separate businesses that showed up pretty quick. Like, no, they're the same business. Yeah. I just understood the inspiration a little differently than maybe it was intended. I think it took 5 clients. And I remember that first client. I was in her home and I heard the emotions so clearly. I knew that was where she was stuck. And I told her, I'm like, hey, I know you didn't sign up for this, but this is what else I can do. Are you open to it? And to her everlasting credit, she was. And that was where I started to really piece together and start collecting the data. That was ground zero for data as well, is that when we do the emotional work, the organizing systems that I put in place, they're lasting. They don't need refresh services. They become pivot points for big transformation in those people's lives.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where it started. And so now I really like to do the emotional release work that I've been doing for 10 years. Wow. Long before the whole organizing. And the whole organizing thing is just me, right? That's what I like to do. But to combine them was something that, heaven saw, but I didn't.
Yeah.
And so now I have half organizing clients, and I will travel all over the country for those clients. And I have. And then half of my clients are emotional release work clients. And we can do that work remotely as well.
I love it. So being, an organizer myself and kind of meeting you and feeling no competition, but collaboration. Yeah. I remember we spoke on that when we first met, and I really loved that about meeting you, because you typically in any type of work field you're in, anyone that's doing the same type of work is like a competitor, right? Like, okay, they're out to get your clients or you're out to get theirs. I mean, there's this like competition behind it, but I didn't feel that with you. I felt free, and I felt like you brought something to the table that not a lot of, even me at sometimes, didn't even occur to me what I was doing, and I've been told several times that I'm a healer, and I'm like, I mean, yeah, but I mean, it's, but so everyone sees it. I mean, it's not that I can't see it or I don't see it, but like, I don't know if it's maybe the word that freaks me out. So do you know what I mean? How people get caught up on stuff.
Right.
And it really, I love that you bring it. So when we first met and started these conversations, I felt like we had so much in common. I was like, oh my gosh, I do that too. Oh, I do it this way. Yes, I do it too. Like we just had this.
And I'm doing the same thing. You have to know I was doing the same thing. I went home that night and told my family, oh my gosh, I think I just met somebody just like me. For me, it was validating. Yeah. Like I have emotional skills. I have energetic abilities that are hard to describe to people.
Right.
They just get dropped into a weird category. And to have somebody who knows exactly what I'm talking about and to have that experience in a very similar way, like that helped my heart. That was beautiful.
It was really cool because it reminded me of certain things I've done with clients. So for instance, most recently a client was going through a divorce and then years later had to she's older, she's up in age, not in good health, she needed to sell her house and move on. She had daughters in the Midwest. So I just got done with this client about 2 days ago. And but it was a long 2 months working with her. And, during the downsizing and minimizing process, which is always the first process in a move, is we took all her excess papers. Paperwork is always an issue with people. Like I feel like that's always
a point.
A huge issue. So we gathered up all her divorce papers and all her stuff that had stigma, had all these memories, all this stuff that she was in a place where she was letting go. She was like, I'm moving on. I'm not going to be here anymore. I need to emotionally release. And I said, let's go burn it. So we go outside and we find a little dumpster and we throw all these papers in there. And I said, light the match. And she did. And she started throwing her papers in that dumpster. And, I asked her, I'm like, how's this making you feel? And she's like, oh my gosh, I feel so much lighter. I feel free.
There's something hugely cathartic about burning it, literally burning it down.
Burn it, right? Burn it to the ground. Burn it. So anyway, it was just a really cool outward expression of that healing process. And I think about it now, and that's exactly what it is. Mm-hmm. But I want to talk a little bit about what your emotional release process is for your clients, and what does that look like?
Well, it looks different for every client. Sure. And so here's my take on it. Emotions are hardwired into every last one of us. It's just part of who we are as humans. And my belief system is that Creator would not have placed us here hardwired for these emotions with only one or two different ways to let them go, mm-hmm. to release them out of the body and free you to, experience the next emotion. So I use probably 5 or 6 different methods. 2 of those methods I'm certified and trained in, and then other methods are just what comes up. Yeah. But movement is big. We're moving. Music is big. We're using music as something to kind of move people through. I use muscle testing.
So that's a tool.
That is a tool that I use. I use it on the emotional release aspect, but I also use it as we're making big decisions on tricky items. And then I also use something called energy mastery from one of my mentors and teachers in California.
Go back to the middle one. What is that process like? So if, for instance, and I don't know, you'll have to kind of, lay the groundwork for me, but if I'm in a room, how do you have me close my eyes and you put my hand on an object or something in the room? And if I have a certain, how does that work?
The muscle testing?
The muscle testing, or is it just like a body, what do you call it? A motion, if you will, to detect certain feelings.
Yeah. So muscle testing is effective because it's based on this premise that the muscles in the body are strong in the presence of truth or anything that supports health and well-being. And then conversely, the muscles are going to be weak in the presence of the not truth or anything that's not in your best and highest interest. So when it comes to the things, what I will do is, and I have a rule, we go through things fast. If it takes you more than 3 seconds to make a decision on something, we're keeping it and we'll deal with it in another moment. So we just rocket through the closet in that way. Now I call it second cull. And then now we're using the muscle testing. And so the muscle testing is that it's a tool that bypasses the mind, the ego mind, the part of you that's programmed and conditioned and trained to behave a certain way based on your previous experiences. We call that the ego mind. Muscle testing will access that part of you that is filtering nothing, tracking all the details, that part of you that monitors every cell function, every body function, and that part of you that is intimately connected with the divine and knows exactly what's happened, what is, and what's coming. And so that's the value and the power of that tool is we access that highest self. So your highest self knows if you're going to use that piece of clothing. That highest self knows the energy of that item of clothing and whether it's in your best and highest interest. Yeah. So they will, we'll ground, we'll do the prep work. They'll hold that shirt in one hand and the other arm goes out straight. And I'm putting 2 fingers worth of pressure at the wrist and I'm pushing down and they're resisting. And it doesn't matter if it's like a 300-pound, 6'5" strong man or, fit right. mom.
Yeah.
Like the arm is going down if it's not in your best and highest interest. Yeah. And the beauty of that tool is that I'm not sitting in the cheap seats going, you need to let go of that. Like they feel it.
Yeah.
If the arm comes down, that's a weak response and it's not in their best and highest interest to hold on to. I had one client where we were whittling her down from just a really large volume of clothes. And she had the space for it, but it's just a really large volume of clothes. And 250 pairs of jeans.
Yeah.
That's where we started.
Sounds familiar.
That's where we started. And so we're having to move really fast through things.
Wow.
And so we were on the second call. And she had already decided to keep those things. But as soon as she put it in her arm and the arm goes down, she would be like, I knew it. So she just needed that little push to let go.
It's almost kind of like, not a game, but like, it's almost like a test, right? Yeah. Like, I mean, it's called muscle testing, but like generally like the way that I think about it is when you're thinking about an object or something in your home and you're like, you're trying, sometimes I overthink stuff. I'm like, oh, really?
Oh, yeah, we all
and then you go back into like, when I got it and this is why I like it. This is why I'm attached to it. You go into all these stories. Sometimes they're narratives from other... Yeah, they're made up. You try to convince yourself that you need something. And so, I mean, how do you, given that it's kind of more of a test type, like, let's see what your body's telling you versus me telling you that you don't need this.
So people's resistance, like, it drops. It's not me telling you to do it. It's you telling you to do it. And the truth is, I've had people that are like, no, I really want to hold on to this. Cool. Like, I'll make a home for it. I'll find a home for it. Invariably, every single time that happens, I get a call or a text 2 to 3 months later. Well, I finally got rid of that, whatever, because they knew. Yeah. Like, it just took a little time for that to kind of show up and be validated for them.
Yeah. Well, it reminds me of a client that I had back in January, and he was going through a divorce. And he had certain things in his home that were attached to his divorce, like his, previous wife. And it was interesting because we were talking about kind of what he really needed more help with. He didn't have a lot of clutter. He was not very unorganized. He wanted to just have a facelift in his house. That's basically what he wanted. I'm not an interior designer. I don't, portray to be one, but I was like, I can help you, sell items, kind of replace items, furniture pieces in your home to kind of give you that fresh new start that you're looking for. So it was really interesting because we'd go into his house we went into his living room and he had this huge, like, oversized entertainment center. Those really heavy looking
the giant ones
that were made for the box TVs back in the 90s or the 80s,
For sure.
And so it's interesting. I was like, what do you think about that piece? He's like, it came from my ex. I was like, okay, tell me more. So then we talked about it. And I was like, how would you feel about just going through the house and you telling me which ones that are associated with your divorce with your ex, and then we could talk about replacing those items first. And he's like, let's do it. So it was a cool process.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I have my own different ways, I guess. But,
sure.
But like you said earlier, I feel like every client's different, right? You go into these situations, these different stories, journeys of people's lives, and, you figure out, like, sometimes it's like subconscious. It comes up pretty, your awareness is there, but it doesn't come to you until the moment. Do you feel like that happens to you? Like you figure it out when you get there, kind of, or?
Yeah, I think that's the best way for me. I get a lot of information when I get into somebody's space, and I'm taking it in visually, but I'm also hearing things. And I know what that sounds like I'm hearing voices, but no, I'm not really. I'm hearing information.
Yeah.
And sometimes the information that I'm hearing in this space is so loud. Like I've had instances where I'm getting so much information from the room or the energy of the room that it is a major effort to just kind of like pin my eyes on my client and pay attention to what they're saying, because I'm getting so much information. And it's different for every space. It's different for every client. Sometimes like that information is waiting for me the moment I cross the threshold. And then there's other times where I need to be in that space and just kind of let that information kind of distill to me slowly. Yeah.
Distilled is a
it
good
just
word.
comes a piece at a time, a drip at a time, until, at the end of the visit, I have a more complete picture.
Yeah.
And then other times it's just an absolute, like, you've seen those pictures of monsoon rains in Arizona where it's just like an absolute dump. Sometimes it is an absolute dump of information.
It's interesting. It reminds me of Indiana Jones, and I don't remember which sequel it was, but it was the one where he had an invisible bridge, and he throws sand on it to see, because he knows it's there, but he doesn't know like where to step, right? And so
I think that's the first one.
Is that the first one? Okay.
I like that movie series too.
I don't know. I haven't seen him in years. So, but anyway, I will never forget that scene where he's like looking for the path, and then he gets down and he throws dirt on it. And he can see, so he can cross over this invisible bridge. But like that brings me to, I love the name of your business, Built to Be Visible. Where did that come from?
The same place that the whole idea for the business came. I had another name in mind, and I could never really make that fit.
Yeah.
And it was in that space of time where I had heard what the next chapter was for me, and still trying to wrap my brain around moving in that direction. I was afraid.
Yeah.
The business felt too big for me. It was going to require things of me that I just doubted my ability to produce and to give. So in that space of trying to find my courage and still actively running away, I was doing my own work, my own emotional release work. And at the end of that session, I just had these words ringing in my brain, and my facilitator, my practitioner, asked me, what are you aware of? Like I just keep having built to be visible. I'm built to be visible, and it's just banging around in my brain. And my mentor was like, "That's your business name." And as soon as he said, I'm like, oh, that's right. That is my business name. I actually went and got the domain that day.
Wow.
That day. And then still, it took a little bit of time, a few more months from there to kind of gather the courage. I guess I would say I was a big old fraidy cat. I wanted something that was easier for the next chapter.
Yeah. And
basically, this business is kind of like the next Guderian baby that I'm raising. Mm-hmm. It's a little bit different than the other babies, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I don't have children, but I have had multiple businesses, and I do relate that to their upbringing of children. Like it is just like, it takes your time, it takes your energy, it takes your resources. Yeah. It takes
it's like a whole
facet.
Creative process for sure. It does pull from you,
and it requires everything from you.
Right. There's no place to hide in business ownership. You have to own your stuff.
Absolutely.
And I think that was part of why the inspiration to do the business is because it's given me a way to heal myself. So I help other people in their healing path, but maybe I'm a step or two ahead of them on the same path.
I love that you said that, because there are so many times that I've gone into a client situation, whether it's a huge move, I help people move and relocate, and that's a big part of my business model. And there's been so many times where I leave a huge project like that feeling like I'm a different person, like I'm a different version of myself than I did when I stepped into that project, because there's just so many different parts of those feelings that come up for me that I see in my clients. It's almost like a mirror. I don't know. Do you ever have that experience?
Yes. Well, and I'm sure you get this. Oh, you're an organizer, so your house is perfect. No, I have systems in place, but I'll be very honest. I have a couple of places in my home, they are emotionally charged for me. I'm not ready to deal with those. I'm not ready to address the next thing for that. So it is a mirror. And then you've got the client thing, because you're literally up in their space. Yep. And so these clients, they leave a piece of them with you as well. So you get to heal, you get to learn, you get to experience that, but then they leave their mark on your heart as well. So it is fulfilling work.
What is one of your favorite or most, what was one of your favorite projects that you've had? What or client? I want to hear these stories. These are like the bread and butter of this.
Yeah. There's a story. It's pretty marked. I was working for a client and a 3-bedroom home, and she's there by herself. And she had a meditation room and she had an office. And she was awash in papers. Like that's a typical story, is the papers they will rule your life if you let them.
Yep.
So I was there to help her with taming the papers. And I walked into that space and, you talk about the information that you get. Like, I knew that we needed to switch rooms. Like, her meditation room needed to become the new office, and the old office needed to become the new meditation room, because I knew that the meditation room would make that room feel different and better. And it was out of my mouth before I could even censor it. and then the next thing out of my mouth is, you're going to make money. Your business is going to grow if you do this thing. And so, to her credit, she was like, all right, let's go. And there were a couple there was a story about a piece of furniture that was in the old office that did not make the cut to the new office. But what was really cool is we're doing the work. We have the little desks and everything on those sliders, and we're moving stuff from one room to the next. And we had just gotten the desk into the new office and put it in place. And she's like, the phone rings and she has to go take that call. Like, go take that call. Like, I had plenty to work on while she was gone. She was gone maybe 15 minutes.
Oh, okay.
And she came back and started helping me out again. And, I don't want to be too nosy, but about maybe 15 minutes after that call, she tells me, oh, that was somebody I just closed a sale. And my head snapped up. I'm like, what? She goes, oh my gosh. It was literally within 2 minutes of having switched the room that she closed a sale. And then she just started celebrating. We were jumping up and down going, it really worked. It really worked. So
the synchronicities are so phenomenal. Amazing. How they are and they're so timely. Timely. Like, you couldn't even come up with this if you tried.
For sure. Like, she wasn't even tracking it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I could just talk all day to you. I am so grateful that you came. Thank you so much. Where can people find you on the web?
On the web, builttobevisible.com. Okay. I'm on social media, more Instagram than Facebook, but I'm working on that. And my handle is @builttobevisible.
I love it.
And my phone number too.
Great. We'll have your info in the show notes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. Please subscribe, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube, of course. And thanks again. Have a good night. If you're loving what you've heard today, be sure to hit the subscribe button, give us a like, and share this episode with your friends. We're here to bring you more valuable tips and inspiring stories. and we would love for you to be a part of our journey. Your support means the world to us. Let's keep the conversation going.